What is up, everybody? It is Og here, back with another video. In today's video, we are in SCHOLO with the Paladin doing a solo SCHOLO run as a Paladin. This can also be a boost with your boostee just standing at the entrance, completely AFK, outside of resetting the instances. But guys, as a gold farm, spoiler alert, this is actually pretty darn good. And during the runs, the testing that we did, we ended up getting 385 gold per hour after taking out our lucky drop. You can see here that we were running about 506 gold per hour. We did get a lucky drop in the run though that boosted it up by about 200 gold. So taking out that drop, adding in what we would have gotten just from the raw gold if the other boostie wasn't in here, because you get about 13 to 15 raw gold per run, just pure silver, not even selling any items, just pure silver loot that you get per run. So it's actually a lot. And if you have boosties, obviously you're going to lose a little bit of the gold to them each run. But that also means as a boostie, you're going to be able to make about 7 gold per run just from sitting in the run itself. The experience for the boostie is a little bit lower though. We're looking at about 24,000 experience per run. So you're looking at between 100 and 120k experience per hour, which does come in a little bit slower than strat. Strat's looking about 120 to 140k per hour. So we're looking about 20k less. You can start getting boosted here though as low as 45, and you can do the boost all the way up until, about 62 before you really start losing a lot of that experience. We're going to jump into this though. We're going to go through the actual run itself. I'm going to be pointing out the pools that I would recommend doing. It's about a 12-minute run, so you can reset it very cleanly, and you end the instance at the front of the, or you end the run at the front of the instance. You can just run back out and reset. And there's also a vendor right next to the outside of the instance. Honestly, I would say that this is in line, if not potentially even better than strat, depending on your server. All right, so we're going to get started here with the run, guys. If you are new to the videos, definitely hit that subscribe, like button, please, down below, and leave a comment and let me know so. And then also come check out the Twitch at twitch.tv/Arleus. We were testing this live and figuring out this farm live on the spot after the recommendation to go check it out by Bud Lightning, so shout out to Bud Lightning as well. But if you guys haven't hopped in the Twitch yet, definitely come hop out on the Twitch. Feel free to ask me any questions you want with any of the farms. I'm happy to help if I can. We're going to come in and then we're immediately going to hang a right. Now, the reason why is we're going to jump right over this ledge, and we're actually going to be able to land on this kind of railing right here, right outside this first pack that we're going to pull. Now, the Spectral Tutors, which is the ghost that I just aggroed that we're going to see here in a second, to have a silence. That silence lasts 9 seconds. The Risen Protectors, which are the warrior mobs in this next room, have a silence that lasts for about 5 seconds. And so the Spectral Tutors are very annoying because if they silence you for 9 seconds, that's a long time to get silenced. So I don't want to kill too many of them at once. So what I do is I pull that first group right there and aggro them. Now you're also going to have a spider in this room as you're running around aggroing up the entire room. Make sure you pull that spider. I did miss that spider here, and that ultimately is going to cause me a little bit of issues in this room. So make sure you pull the spider, and then that's your first focus target. You want to burn down the spider first. What you want to do though is you want to aggro up on the mobs. When you aggro at the last corner of mobs, you want to go directly into the corner. You're going to be behind some torches. You want to make sure that the mobs are hitting you from the front. If they hit you from the front, you can block, dodge, parry them. And you can also pop Figurative of the Colossus and heal up. This first pull is very easy because you can get a lot of healing from Figurative of the Colossus. And so what you want to do is as soon as you get into that corner, you want to pop your wings, consecrate, Figurative of the Colossus, and Holy Shield. It's going to keep you up and you're going to not have any problem at all staying alive. I pop everything a little bit late, and you're going to see me pop wings really late. Once you drop down that first consecrate, though, after a few seconds of it being on the ground, you're going to transition over towards kind of the entrance into the next room and barricade yourself up against the back wall. That's going to cause the casters, so the adepts and then the necromancers, to go ahead and get back in their line of sight to be able to cast on you, and so you're going to be able to burn them down. Here you can see, though, we aggro the Necrofiend late. Now, the Necrofiend drops down can root you for about 8 seconds. As you can see there, we also got silenced by that one ghost, so the silence can be very annoying. But the Necromancer or the Necrofiends will root you in place. At the same time, the Plague Fiends drop a aura of poison after they die. So here what's going to happen is a lot of these plague mobs are going to die. I'm rooted for 2 seconds, and I almost die because I'm getting ticked for 329 a second. And so I get out of the group and then realize that, holy crap, I have to pop a pot, and so open up my inventory and pop a healing potion. So what I would recommend doing is make sure that you burn down those spiders immediately. Focus on them. They're your first kill target. That way you can't get rooted when the plague guys die. As soon as the plague guys are getting low, you're just going to continue backpedaling while keeping consecrate on the ground, keeping down those mobs, and living through that without any problem. Typically, I end that first pull at pretty much 100% health, and I'm perfectly fine, good to go. The next pull, though, is going to be the most difficult pull that we have. As I said before, the mobs silence. There's a few mobs that do, or a couple mobs that do silence. That's the ghost and then the warrior looking risen protectors. You want to make sure that you burn down the ghosts and don't pull too many of them at one time. But you also don't want to pop bubble on the first pool so you can have it for this next pool, because we are going to try to burn down a lot of them in this next room. In this next room, in total, I believe that there's 6 of the ghosts. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to do 4 with the first pool, 2 with the second pool. Since I won't have bubble for the second pool, I want to burn through as many of them as I can on the first pool so the second pool is easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to target the Spectral Tutor in the northeast corner with an Exorcism, run over and consecrate these 2 packs to pull them, and then pull the Spectral Tutor at the back. At that point, you're going to be getting hit by Frostbolts, so spam Dispel yourself. You can aggro this Protector as you run through, and then we're going to come back into the Plague Room, jump over to the side, and then barricade yourself up in the corner. Now what you want to do is you want to drop down a Consecrate immediately, because you can get silenced very early. As you see, I'm silenced right there. As soon as you get silenced and can drop a Consecrate, don't just sit there and do nothing, right? Because right there, I would have had to sit there for about 6 seconds to do absolutely nothing and just get hit. So I went ahead and popped Bubble to save my mana, and then I just immediately popped Consecrate. So if you get silenced and you don't have a Consecrate on the ground, don't wait until you get down to about 20%, because you're just going to burn your own mana trying to heal yourself up. Just immediately Bubble, pop the Consecrate, and then just pop a heal on yourself and keep on going through. Occasionally you're going to get silenced because you do have a lot of Spectral Tutors on you. Hopefully you resist a good amount, but eventually the mobs will run away. There are a lot of humanoids, and so what we're going to do is once the mobs get low and start running away, we're going to run back into the other room, go out of line of sight of those mobs, which is going to force them to come back into this room, and then we can just kill them with Consecrate. I would recommend having some mana potions if you run into an issue where you're getting mana burned a lot. Some of these mobs can mana burn, and so you can potentially run out of mana pretty quickly. Happens sometimes. Bring some mana pots just in case you do have to pop a mana potion to be able to finish off the mobs right here. Typically it would only happen when the mobs are pretty low, so it's not too big of a deal, but that will help you definitely to have some mana potions as you go through the run. Now that we got that pull down though, the rest of the pulls in the instance are much, much easier. That's the most difficult pull because you could get silenced. So as I said before, when you get silenced, just go ahead and bubble. Don't waste mana sitting there waiting for a long time. As soon as you come out of the bubble, you're going to start taking some damage. There's not too many melee mobs, so you're not going to get a ton of healing by Figurative the Colossus, but you will get enough healing. As you can see right here, we got about 4k healing from Figurative the Colossus, which allowed us to stay comfortably at a high enough health. We're now going to pull the rest of the mobs in this room, so we're going to immediately go over to the far corner. We're going to pull this last Spectral Tutor, aggro these 2 mobs that are, or 2 packs that are right here, and then we're going to do kind of like a V straight line over to this room again, pull the last couple mobs, and then go right back to that same spot. Now, as you can see there, we only have 2 Spectral Tutors, so the chance that we get silenced is much, much lower, and we're going to resist a lot of them. Again, we're going to go right into the corner, causing us to be out of line of sight of the mobs, so they have to come over. You do see that I get hit by 2 silences immediately, so I'm immediately silenced by 2 different mobs, so I can't do anything right here, and I'm popping Consecrate. Not a great position to be in, especially after I just popped wings, but I go ahead and I drop down another Consecrate, and because we're able to pump out so much damage with wings and everything popped, we're able to get down these mobs pretty quickly. Figurative the Colossus comes back off cooldown. I went into the run immediately. I didn't wait for it to be off cooldown, but you could wait for it to be off cooldown if you want to. And then we're able to get down these mobs. Just like before, you're going to line of sight them when they get low just to kill them in the next room. Just have some mana pots if you do need the mana pots to basically keep up your mana so you can finish them off with Consecrate. But then this big room is done. So why are we doing this farm? Well, this room right here and the next room that we're going to go to drop dark runes. Those dark runes on most servers sell for between 12 and 15 gold. Check the price of your server. Typically we get 10 per hour. So you can figure out, my server was 12 gold, right? So I was getting about 120 gold per hour just in dark runes. If your server sells for more, add 10 times whatever the difference is between your price and 12 gold. If it's less, subtract that from 385 gold per hour. As you can see here, we had the 504 gold per hour, but we had a lucky drop of the Idol of the Moon, which goes for about 200 gold. And so I took out 200 gold from my calculations. You're also getting a lot of raw gold. And so every single run, we're getting about 13 to 15 raw gold per run. That's just silver, not including, all the items that we're going to vendor, but that's just silver. We're also getting about 2 to 3 stacks of rune cloth, probably closer to 3 rune cloth per run. On my server, I just vendor it because it's not worth anything. But on your server, if that's worth a little bit more, you can kind of get an idea of how you can make some serious gold. The big difference between this and Strat though is the dark runes. You're killing more mobs in Strat, but you don't have a signature item that you're getting. You're just getting vendorables. Here, though, you have the dark runes, which go for 12 to 15 gold a pop, and so you can add in an extra 120 gold, and this actually will get you more gold per hour just from running the instance itself than doing strat. As I said, the boosties will get a little bit less experience. You can look at about 100k an hour for the boosties, a little bit lower than strat, but they will also be able to make raw gold if you have them, so you can probably charge a decent bit. So we're now going to go into the next room. This room has a lot of summoners, and it has this Necrofiend in the middle. The Necrofiend, again, can root you, which is just going to be annoying to deal with, so I recommend just trying to kill it right off the bat. It does not actually leash any other mobs, so you can go ahead and aggro that immediately, pull that Necrofiend, kill the Necrofiend, and then you can pull the entire, next area in here. What you want to do is you want to get around to the side in the side room where you can summon that blood boss and kill the mobs. The dark summoners are going to perpetually summon more of these risen lackeys. They're going to be little annoying mobs that just never stop getting spawned. And so this room is just more annoying than anything. The mobs don't hit too hard. There's some shadow bolts you get hit by. You can see I just got hit for 444, but outside of that, it's not too bad. One thing to notice though, you did just see that I jumped up onto this ledge. It isn't out of line of sight position, and actually it ported me back out to the mobs. I also noticed that the summoner started running towards me when that happened. I don't know if that is, correlated or if that was just happenstance, but you want to make sure when you go into this little cubby here for your kill spot, you don't jump up onto the ledge because then you could get ported out into the open. So here I just kind of barricade myself, making sure that the mobs are in front of me, pop my wings and everything like that, and burn down these mobs. The risen guards that we have, so the risen guards are going to be in this room and at the front of the instance, so it's going to be the last pool for us, can actually stun. And so when you get stunned, you can't dodge block parry, which means you're going to take some more damage. So you want to make sure that you pop your figurine early and keep your health at full if you can. Eventually we're going to get stunned here right now, and you're going to see my health kind of tick down pretty quickly down to 48%. So I lost about 14% of my health just in that one stun. I also have Sunder Armor on myself, so you want to burn down these mobs as quickly as possible. Me getting ported out did not do me any favors, and so hopefully you'll just get into the corner, pop your wings, burn down the mobs, pop Figure into the Colossus, and be fine. Just make sure you don't jump up onto that ledge. Once you kill the rest of the big mobs, these summoners are not going to do any damage to you because they're just going to continue popping these lackeys. The lackeys hit for like 10 damage. They can occasionally do an ability though called Drain Life. If you get Drain Life on you, immediately dispel it. It will do 1200 damage over the course of something like 6 seconds. So it actually is going to do a good amount of damage. So if you get Drain Life on you, dispel it. Outside of that, keep up Seal of Wisdom and Judgment of Wisdom on your main kill target, and then just burn down the rest of the mobs with Consecrate. As you can see there, I was expecting some summoners to be on the outside, but they were all dead. As far as the kill rotation goes, by the way, guys, if you have tons of mana, keep up Holy Shield. If not, just use Holy Shield when you have Figure into the Colossus up. Outside of that, with your main kill target, so that's, the spiders and then maybe the ghosts, Judgment of Wisdom on them immediately, then put another Seal of Wisdom on and just melee them down. Because we have 1 point into Reckoning, we're trying to get Reckoning procs to try to basically heal ourselves or be able to get some more melees off as quickly as possible, which is going to proc more of those Seal of Wisdoms. Also, this did end up taking 12 minutes total. However, I probably could have shaved off another minute or so from this run because my inventory was full for the entire run. So I really wasn't making much gold this run. There is a vendor right outside. There is a quest that you have to do, which I will have a link down below to get this Spectral Essence you can see right here. Once you get the Spectral Essence though, you can just run over and I'll show you where the mob is after this run and just vendor. So there's actually a vendor right outside the instance, which is another big benefit over strat. The more I do this run, I actually think that it might be better to farm this than strat, at least until Dark Runes kind of aren't worth it anymore. I think it's probably going to be a pretty good amount of time before that though, because Dark Runes are very useful, especially in raids for people who want to do a lot of DPS, because mana is definitely an issue at the moment. So now we're going to do our final pull. So we're going to pull that 1 pack over in the corner. You can pull some more mobs in this, honestly, if you want to from below, just to get some more extra raw gold. This last pull is very easy, so you honestly could probably pull another few packs on the bottom and bring them up with you. But then you just bring them up to the top. You're going to go ahead and pop wings whenever you can, or if you want to bubble on this pool, you can bubble as well. But if you're going to continue going back into the pool, you probably don't even need to bubble. I just pop wings and burn down these mobs. Again, you can get stunned, but with Figure into the Colossus, you should be perfectly fine keeping yourself up, as there's a lot of melee mobs that you're blocking to get healed. This is the last pool, though. Overall, the run was 12 minutes. As you can see here, we made 650 gold from 6 runs. So each run was averaging at about 100 gold a run. I did get one run though with 200 gold from one item. So we could take that out and we can look at about 450 gold. It ends up calculating out to about 385 gold per hour. The way that we calculate that, we do have a few greens, which we're disenchanting now. We get probably maybe 7 greens per hour, I would say. So not a ton of the money is going to come from the greens, but if you are an enchanter, you can get a little bit of bonus right there because of those greater eternal essences. Get a little bit extra money. Most of the gold, though, is going to come from the just raw vendorables, the raw gold that you get because you get 65 raw gold per hour, just pure silver, and then from the dark runes that you're going to sell on the auction house after. As long as there's demand for the dark runes, I would honestly say that this is probably a better farm than Stratholme for paladins right now. Not as good of a boost, but a very good gold farm. So here you can see some of my calculations of the gold. So we did 685 gold minus 200 plus 36 because the boostee that I was talking to told me he was getting 6 gold per run. So actually a little bit more than that. He also got 22.5k XP from that run, 24k from other runs. It might just be based on RNG on which mobs get spawned, but you can see here. So he's looking about 100 mobs per hour, 12 minutes for the run. 6 gold, 76 silver. So if we add back in 36 gold into our formula, we can then see that we can take about 520 gold, divide that by about 1.35 for the 1 hour for SCHOLO, and we get 385.92 gold. When you want to repair, you'll exit the instance. You'll run over to the right side over here, go down to the bottom, and then in the bottom is a blacksmith. You have to equip the spectral essence. It's a trinket. You have to equip it to be able to see the ghosts, but now you'll be able to see the ghosts in the town. And if you go over to the blacksmith right here, this is a vendor. It makes it real easy to go ahead and clear out your bags to get right back into the run. As far as getting into the actual instance, if you do not have the SCHOLO key, what you can do is you can divine intervention one of your boosties that you're bringing along, or maybe somebody else there, or an alt or something like that, or just try to have your character die from mobs and then just ghost run in past the door. Once you're past the door from ghost running in, you can open up the door for all your boosties with the lever. And then as long as you have one tune inside the area, you can just keep on letting each other back in and out. A lot of people are going to wonder what kind of gear you want to run for this. It's kind of tough to say, to be completely honest with you. It's going to be similar to Strat, but you're not going to be blocking as many mobs as you do in Strat. And so here's the gear that I was running. Again, I was just wearing my Strat gear, so nothing special or crazy, but I do have a good amount of spell power. I was wearing actually the idol or icon of Silver Crescent there. So I have a good amount of spell power. I have right now 525. I do have Great Arcane Elixir and the food on, so take off about 58 spell power from this, and you can get down to my raw spell power. But you can see here that my gear is pretty decent. It's a mix of tankiness and also, you know, that offensiveness with the spell damage. I do have all my strat gear, as I said before, so my block is a little bit higher at 22%, where I'm sacrificing a bit of dodge. The mitigation is not going to be as huge in this dungeon because a lot of the damage that you're going to take is actually going to come from frost abilities instead of melee or shadow. Here you can see Shadow Shock and Shadow Bolt hit me during that fight, for example, for 5k, which was overall about 20% of the damage that I took. Then you got a drain life, so that's some shadow damage right there as well. So a lot of the damage you're going to take is going to come from magic damage. The mitigation is not as important. I would try to have as much spell power as you can while still being tanky. So keep around that 480 defense level range and then try to have as much spell power as you can, and you guys should be fine. I'd recommend trying to have about 400 spell power on your gear alone pre, cooldowns. That is with Wrath of Cenarius. So if you do not have Wrath of Cenarius, I'd recommend having about 532 on your gear. As far as talents go, here is what I'm running. Basically, the idea here, guys, is to mitigate as much damage as possible, have 1 point into Reckoning so we can get some extra bonus swings just to try to keep our mana up as much as we can, and then go pure damage from there. So the mobs are all going to be undead or humanoid, which means Crusade's going to add the 3%. And overall, between one-hand specialization and all these other increases to our damage, we're looking at about 35% increased damage with this build. It's really important to go through the mobs fast so that you don't die just from being silenced and eventually rotted down. So you want to make sure you can pump out the damage, and I would highly recommend using this spec. If you want to try to pick up kings, you can as well. I would probably sacrifice 1 point into shield specialization to try to pick up kings if you'd rather have kings just for a little bit more health, hopefully trying to keep yourself alive, over the Blessing of Sanctuary. Up to you guys on however you want to play that.